Hi there, welcome to Tarotland Soap Opera. Today I'm going to do a reading for Gemini energy. And like usual, we're going to have two rows. And the top row I refer to as high vibe Gemini. The bottom row, a more worldly, shadowy Gemini. We all have our dualistic nature, which is what our Gemini nature within all of us kind of represents. We have free will. And we have to make decisions in our life. And the top row can represent what some people are doing and what some people would maybe like to do, which can just be maybe I'd like to live life a little differently. Maybe I'd like to work through some of my fears or my insecurities or my pride or my ego or my defensive nature or my immature nature or whatever. Change jobs, get out of certain friendships. Whatever it is, I'd maybe like to move forward a little differently than I am right now. But the bottom row can represent our fears and our insecurities and, our comfort zone. And, if we move forward in life differently, that's different. It's kind of unknown territory, and we kind of like to stay in our comfort zone. And then we all can like things that we are invested in. There might be something about it we don't like, but we'd like it to work out the way we wanted it to work out. And, so we might keep putting in work and effort into something to try to get it to work, kind of keep giving it some effort to see if it does get better. And then if it doesn't, then some people might be willing to consider doing life a little differently. So some people could be debating within themselves, but while some people are debating within themselves, other people are moving on. And so some people have already worked through some issues in their life and they're kind of on a new phase of life. And then in high vibe energy, if we kind of learn the lessons we were meant to learn from that phase of life, we don't really have an interest of going back to it. And then those people are moving forward, looking at life a little differently than they did before. And while some people are moving forward, looking at life a little differently, some people aren't ready to move forward. The truth sets us free. And, we're all on our own journey and we've all got different issues we need to work through. And maybe some other people will move forward in life and it seems like they're moving forward in a way that seems victorious and successful in some ways, but their challenges might be further up ahead the road for them. We've all got to deal with these things eventually and over time, and we all are at different places at different times in our life. The whole thing is we're kind of looking for people who are kind of on the same page as we are at the same time. So let's go look at the bottom row. We have 3 cards not showing itself, which can mean that we're in a situation and we could have things that we're not seeing the truth of. We could be in relationships with people, whether that's friends and family or workplaces, where, we could just be kind of trying to, in the Fool card in the 8 of Swords, which 8 of Swords is Gemini energy, and the Fool card is Aries energy, which is fire sign energy. There could be things that we took action or want to take action on, and we're just trying to get clear about what our truth is and try to figure out what other people, how they think and feel. And we're trying to work through kind of, do we harness these energies in the same way? And at the end of the story, we have Gemini energy of the Knight of Swords, which is kind of trying to work through from the 8 of Swords down to the 1 sword, is that 7 of Swords energy, which is Aquarius energy, which is about, I have a dream, and this is how I kind of envision things moving forward, and this is what I think is just and fair, and these are the things I like to go invest my time, energy, and effort into that I find enjoyable or aligned with my truth. And then I'm working with other people in my life and they can have their truth and they can have their fears and their insecurities and they have their idea of how they want to move forward and what they want to invest their time, energy, and effort into and what they find enjoyable. And we're trying to figure out if we're on the same page. Because the Knight of Swords, you know, can be that we have our truth, and the Knight of Swords is kind of sent by the King and Queen of Swords, which is kind of like, this is my truth, this is what I think is just and fair, this is my dream, and sometimes we can just be trying to inspire other people who might be up in their head about standing up for themselves, speaking their truth, getting balance within themselves, thinking they deserve justice, that they deserve love, that they believe they deserve to have their dreams come into reality, and maybe trying to help them look at life from a higher perspective and put things in perspective. But we can all, or we're doing that with ourselves, but we can all kind of get up in our head because there was things we were inspired by that we wanted, again, to get the justice we wanted, and we had this dream, and then we're not sure if other people are on the same page as us or not. And the swords can be that there's communication, and Gemini is air sign energy of the mind and communication and love and what we want to manifest, and just trying to figure out, should I move forward living my life the way I've been living it, hanging out with the people I've been hanging out with, or is that not my truth? And maybe I would do it more out of thinking it makes logical, practical sense. It would look victorious and successful. It would look like I have justice in the world, but is it aligned with my truth? Should I let that and those people or whatever keep moving on, and maybe I'll work through my own fears and insecurities or self-limiting beliefs and really focus on what my truth is and and that's a fear of letting other people kind of go on living life the way they live it, and that we're not going to move forward with them, or leaving some people behind, and we are going to go kind of stand up for ourselves and believe in our dreams and things like that. So, what could be the problem? It has to do with these three cards not showing itself. The Star card, which is Aquarius energy, which is the 7 and the 8 are, the 6, 7, and 8 of Swords are Aquarius energy. So, again, we can all have a dream, but we might, the shadow row can represent our more worldly nature. And instead of kind of having a more hopeful, believing nature within ourselves and believing in ourselves, we can kind of get up in our head about taking that leap of faith to speak our truth, stand up for what we believe in, go take action to really bring that dream into reality. And then when we get in relationships with other people, we don't really know what their dreams are, and kind of what drives and motivates them. And then we have the Three of Swords, which is Libra energy, which is, again, kind of about what we think is just and fair. And, we've probably, at different times we were invested in certain jobs, friendships, or relationships where we maybe thought a dream was going to come into reality. And the Three of Swords can represent that we were heartbroken. And then we can have fear of taking another leap of faith to still have hope and faith and belief in ourselves, have hope and faith and belief in our dreams. And that's where we have to work through that Seven of Swords mental confusion. All of these life experiences were to help us get more clear about what our truth is, and also to learn what other people's truths are, There could have been people we wanted to have things work out with, but if what they think is just and fair is different than what we think is just and fair, and their idea of the dream life and dream friendship and dream relationship or workplace environment is different than our idea of the dream friendship, relationship, or work environment, if we deal with the truth. And the truth is, some people have also experienced heartbreak, maybe don't look at life from a higher perspective, aren't able to keep things in perspective. They get all caught up in their head and in their fears or whatever. And it's to just deal with the truth, because the truth, again, sets us free. I need to see the truth of where I might need to heal, grow, mature myself. And I need to see the truth about where other people in my life might need to heal and grow and mature themselves. And they have their idea of what they think is just and fair. And I just accept the truth of it, you know? Shadowy energy can be that some people like to live more from their mind than their heart, or in their Gemini free will, they could be more about themselves, they could be more about the world, they could be more focused on trying to feel more stable and grounded within themselves and balance. They could be more focused on their career than a love relationship. They could be fearful of love. They could have given up on believing in their dreams a long time ago, and I'm not doing love anymore, I get hurt. And, we just need to see the truth of it. But whenever we meet new people, and we get a new job or whatever, we're dealing with new people again. And it's kind of like trying to kind of listen to our intuition about who's who and what kind of drives and motivates people, and dealing with the truth of it. And if I've already had some life experience where, I've already dealt with people who could be more defensive, more about themselves, like to be more indulgent in a relationship. That can be shadowy fire sign energy, which anyone can harness. Other people have fear of being more just and fair because they're afraid that people are going to take advantage of them, or they just don't like being more just and fair and they like it to be more about them. And the more you learn these lessons in life and the more these patterns kind of repeat over and over, we kind of deal with similar situations in our life, just to a different degree. When we were young and in elementary school and middle school and high school, and if you went to college, or all these different jobs and all these different people you've known in your life, it still is trying to find people who kind of seem to be on the same page as you. Hopefully, if you're aligned with high vibe energy, you want to work cooperatively with people, and you probably like to be a loving and encouraging and supportive and treat people the way you like to be treated. And, you're kind of looking for other people who are like that, but we're always going to meet people that are in a little more shadowy energy. And shadowy Aquarius can be, which anyone can harness, is some people are really more about themselves. And, shadowy fire sign energy, I'm more about myself, and I think it's just and fair, and I think other people should think it's just and fair. And if I'm bossy or controlling or immature or manipulative or full of myself, well, I've rationalized it, and I'm okay with it, and I'm looking for other people who are okay with it. And, the more life experience we've had, some more people are like, yeah, no. If I kind of get to know you in the Fool card, I take a leap of faith to work together with you, in a just and fair way, to hope that we can work through our maybe defensiveness or fear of being hurt, and, hoping, we can work together cooperatively. And some people you do that with, and you kind of move on together in friendships and working together cooperatively. And then we meet some other people that either have some fears and insecurities about working more cooperatively, or that's just not the way they operate in the world. And shadowy energy can be where, well, I like to manipulate and control people. Can I manipulate and control you? And if I can't manipulate you and control you, I don't want to be in a friendship or relationship with you. And the more you have those life experiences, which can take a long time, believe me, I feel like I've been going through it. I'm not going to get up in my head about it. Can it get me up in my head a little bit? Yeah. And then I see the truth and I wish you peace and I move on. And sometimes I think shadowy people, if they know and their intuition tells them, I do think you're someone who's more motivated to work together with people cooperatively. You could be loving and nurturing and supportive, basically. And they know that, it'll kind of get you in your, bother you, kind of get you in your ego a bit when other people aren't working together with you cooperatively like that, because you don't get it. You don't understand it. And high vibe people can put a lot of work and effort to try to make a relationship work and to get along with people. And like trying to, if people act in a way, it's like, I don't understand why you're acting like that. And even if people are kind of being petty and immature, it's just like, I don't understand why you're acting like that. And you might, want to put in more work and effort to try to make it work. And that's sometimes what some shadowy people are counting on. I'm hoping to use your more high vibrational nature that wants to be things to be more just and fair and to work together cooperatively to bring like justice to the situation. I'm hoping because you want that I can act in these kind of shadowy ways and you won't like move on from me because it'll bother you and you'll keep trying to figure it out in a way. It's like a puzzle you're trying to figure out. And sometimes people who are more motivated to get along with people, that does bother them and they don't understand it, and they can put a lot of work and effort to try to make it work. And eventually, though, people get to be where they realize that we harness this energy differently, which is the hangman, which is Pisces, emotional water sign energy, which in shadow can be that people do kind of have these illusions about what it means to get along in a relationship, and they don't want to be enlightened to the truth. They don't want to look at life from other people's perspective, kind of stubborn and prideful. And now some people that have gone through this enough in their life, it's like, yeah, no. If my intuition tells me, based on how other people in their free will, the actions they choose to take, that's kind of like the Fool card. When you're in a relationship and trying to work together with other people, some people take a foolish risk out of either their fear, their insecurity, their pride, their ego, their stubbornness, their self-centeredness, their immaturity, their ego, to act in kind of shadowy ways. And other people have lived enough life like, yeah, I'm done. I see it. Thank you for showing me the truth. I'm no longer. Shadowy energy can be where we kind of want to stay in denial of the truth because we can have a hard time relating to it. Like, I just don't get it. And now it's like, no, I'm no longer in denial of the truth. Everyone has free will to choose how they want to respond and react and interact with people. And if I take, and I'm willing to take that leap of faith to work together with people, face my own fears, to work together with you cooperatively, you can feel like I offered the highest energy of all. I wasn't trying to manipulate you. I wasn't trying to control you. I wasn't creating an illusion. I was being authentic. I was being genuine. And then if you choose to act like, nope, I'm going to try to keep you stuck and up in your head, I don't think you'll love and believe in yourself enough to kind of like stand up for what you believe in. And I think you'll stay here kind of indulging me in my shadowy ways of being. And some people are like, nope, I'm done. I'm leaving. Or I'm going to keep my distance from you. You've shown me the truth of who you are and how you choose to interact with people. And if I don't have to spend much time with you or interact with you much, even though, you might be in my community or extended family or a workplace, yeah, I choose not to really invest much more time, energy, and effort into you if I don't have to. I'm going to go work with the people who do work together with me in a more high vibrational way. And as some people do that, other people, then they kind of are the ones who could be either they just still stay in their pride and ego, like, well, they justify that you don't see the truth of how important they are, or, if they're kind of really egotistical or self-centered or think they're something. But other people could kind of get up in their head because they tried to manipulate someone, and the people they tried to manipulate weren't having it, and those people moved on, and then it's like, shit, they were enlightened to the truth that I am kind of bossy or controlling or manipulative or prideful or egotistical, and it didn't work. They saw through it to not try to rationalize it, just accepted the truth. That's who you are. Okay, later. And they moved on. And then those people themselves might have, if they're aligning with their more shadowy energy, they could be aligning with other people in their life who are happy they kind of act this way because they have their own shadowy ways of being. And if neither of them are willing to look at life from any other perspective and expand their perception of what could be and what life could be if maybe they did work through, and maybe in Pisces energy have a little, and Pisces and Aquarius have a little more hope and faith and belief in themselves, and get out of their past pain and heartbreak and see that everybody's not the same, and get out of their head and work through their fears and insecurities or their immature nature or egoic nature, and we're willing to kind of look at life a little differently. They could move forward in life a little differently, but some people don't want to see the truth because they might not just want to be more just and fair. They might be fearful of love and getting hurt. I would rather stay here, live life the way I do it, maybe keep other people away for some of them. And some of them, they are just more about themselves and indulging themselves. And if other people aren't willing to indulge them, then I don't really care about you anyway. And they could just hide that they're very much about themselves and more stubborn and prideful and egotistical or something. And then they try to get in other friendships and relationships or go get a new job if they need to go get a new job. And then they hope that the next people they get in a relationship with won't see the truth of who they are out of maybe some of their own fears or insecurities. If those people then became their friend, got in a relationship, hired them for a job, and hopefully those people will keep putting in work and effort to try to make it work. And I think eventually, sometimes people can have certain coping mechanisms, They could indulge in making their life either about investing in certain things or maybe trying to have a certain status or image in the world or power or influence, or indulging in things to make them feel better. And I think just like people can abuse like substances to make themselves feel better, other people use status and ego and image and stuff like that to try to feel better, and then use those things to try to manipulate people to stay in a relationship. But I kind of think, just like, it's not as obvious, but if that's what people keep thinking is going to be the answer, I think those things become more of an addiction over time, just like abusing some substances, right? And they really don't want to see the truth. If they're bossy and controlling, or more about themselves, or stubborn, or prideful, or egotistical, they really could have a hard time acknowledging that truth to themselves. If they do try to use their status or their image or whatever to try to get people to get in a relationship and stay in a relationship, they also could have a really hard time admitting that truth to themselves. And, as long as people don't want to see the truth, don't want to speak the truth, because it's like the hangman is blocking them. Well, it's their own shadow nature, and then other shadowy people in their life that they might align with, is all blocking them from getting the justice they deserve in our life. Just like when we align with our more shadowy nature of fear and insecurity and feel stuck and focused on past pain and heartbreak, if we offer love to it and we work through the fear and insecurities and the self-limiting beliefs and the past pain and heartbreak and put things in perspective that I was dealing with all these other human beings who have all their issues too, and some of them did this work to be more just and fair and authentic and loving, and some of them didn't, and I'm not going to let the fact that I was just dealing with other fallible human beings that had their viewpoint in life and ways of acting stop me from believing in myself and believing in my dreams. And I'm going to look at life differently. And I'm not going to give up on my dreams. And I'm going to do the work. But that's the thing. You have to, in fire sign energy, to even be inspired to work through it. You have to be wanting to get to the truth. High vibe hangman is being enlightened to the truth. But we have to work through that Seven of Swords energy of all these things within ourselves and all these things that have happened in our life, kind of like shadowy energy that exists in the world within ourselves and outside of ourselves that tries to keep us stuck, because that's what shadowy energy is about, keeping us stuck. It's the big picture represented by the devil. All these things that manipulate us, confuse us, oppress us, imprison us, keep us from giving birth to something new. High vibe energy at the big picture, kind of represented by God, wants us to work through those things to give birth to our dreams, to be free, to live our more authentic life. But we have to work through the disappointments of the past, see the truth. Not everything I want to go invest in is going to work out the way I want. Everybody else has their way of viewing life and living life and their truth. I got to accept the truth. I got to accept again where I could have been more caught up in the illusion of the world, and I could have been more unenlightened to some truths and needed to grow and heal and mature myself, maybe get more balance within myself. Other people I was in a relationship with had to maybe do that too. And when I accept the truth of all of that, it doesn't keep me stuck like it used to. And then, I'm not willing to give up on my dreams. And I still believe in my dreams. And I want the justice I deserve. So, just like some of you did do that, some of you are working through that, hoping other people work through that. But there can get a time where if we have communicated our truth to other people, we let other people work through their own fears and insecurities. And then the best thing we can do is, I wish you peace, but I'm going to keep moving on with my life, because that is just and fair. If I've already worked through these things and I am ready to move forward in life a little differently, it's kind of like the devil. If the devil couldn't keep you stuck, the devil could have worked on other people in your life, hoping, again, using the love that you have for them, catching two birds with one stone, or 3 people, or 5 people, or a whole group of people. Oh, well, we don't want to move forward without this person. Well, we've all had to learn lessons in life, and it can take years or decades or the rest of our life. And some people never free themselves from things that manipulate them. So the best, I think, energy is to be a good leader in the world, showing other people how you do it. Because some of those people have fears and insecurities, or bossy or defensive or whatever. they could know that you have love for them. They in turn could have other people in their life that they kind of look to for validating their worth or value, or that they love or feeling stable and secure with. And they could have love for those people too, just like you have love for them. Shadowy energy can be where we're just more codependent on the world, on other people in our life, and we're not really ready to be more independent. And if you've worked through some issues and you're ready to be more independent, and they're like, oh, but I love these people and these people aren't going to move forward that way. It's like, well, I am ready to move forward. And this, I could have love for you, but if you want me to stay stuck and manipulated by whatever it is that manipulates you, those things don't manipulate me the way they manipulate you. And I'm going to go live my authentic life and not let kind of what manipulates you manipulate me. And I've worked through the things within me that could make me keep staying in this situation. And it might be more out of fear and insecurity of being more independent, standing up for myself, maintaining balance within myself, because shadowy energy can be where people want you tipped out of balance, kind of indulging them in poor behavior, or making your life and staying in jobs and relationships more for the ego or the image or the money or because of the fear. And it's like, I'm not going to do that. But if you want to stay there, you can stay there. I wish you peace. So, what do the high vibe people do? We start out with the Justice card. And the Two of Swords, the Six of Swords, the Nine of Swords, the Six of Pentacles, the Five of Swords, and the Two of Wands. And the reason the top rose reading came out is because of the Four of Pentacles. The Four of Pentacles can talk about that we had a way of living life, and there was people in our life and a way of living life that we wanted to hold on to. But part of kind of growing to our full potential is our intuition and our more high vibe nature kind of tells us, it's time to kind of go to the next phase of life. This is kind of keeping us stuck and stagnant. How we're thinking, how we're feeling, how we're behaving, who we're hanging out with or whatever. And we offer truth and love to ourselves. We offer truth and love and encouragement to the people we're in a relationship with. We work through our own fears and insecurities, expand our perception of ourselves and what we believe is possible. We offer that to other people in our life. And we tell them we'd like to hold on to them, but some of those people are like, I'm not willing to move forward differently. Over here, we have the Six of Pentacles, and the Six of Pentacles can be about letting go of kind of one way, a foundational kind of way of living our life, to a different way, just like we did from age 15 going to age 18 and 18 to 21. We had to detach from holding on to that old way of living life and viewing life if we were going to go to that next phase of life. And some people have a lot of fear of maybe taking more inspired action in their life, stepping out of their comfort zone, believing in themselves, believing in their dreams, being more independent. Maybe like to make their life more about conforming to the world and not really living their authentic truth. And that's all a process of becoming and feeling more comfortable within yourself. And some people were like, nope, maybe in their more worldly nature of the Four of Pentacles, which is Capricorn energy, I'm okay. Either I want to hold on to this foundation, if it's the world that's more important to me, or my friendship group, or my family, or my original family. I don't want, this is kind of my comfort zone, and I'm willing to stay here. And some people just saw the truth. If I keep staying here, I think I would do it more out of fear and insecurity, or codependency, or the status, or the ego, or the image. And I don't like feeling manipulated by those things. That's not the truth that I want to live. And so it's kind of realizing that you operate from a different foundation, and high vibe energy is just kind of getting more balanced within yourself. Do I want some of these things of the world too? And do I want to be in friendship and relationship and have a job and all these different things? Yeah. But I'm not willing to not live my more authentic life and truth and high vibe. I'm offering people truth and love. I'm not trying to cause people problems. I'm not trying to antagonize people. I'm not trying to hurt anyone. I just want to be free to live my more authentic truth, you know? And I don't like the world manipulating me. I don't like social peer group pressure manipulating me. We should treat each other as individuals and respect each other as individuals. And I don't have to live my life exactly like you live life. And I don't have to attend or certain functions or dress a certain way or have a certain status or image for people to want to talk to me. I can enjoy all sorts of people, and other people will be like, oh my goodness, you cannot go do that. And it's like, yeah, you know, why not, you know, I'm kind of wondering if the Knight of Wands will come out, which is about kind of going on this adventure of learning lessons in life, you know? It's all part of going out there in the world to just continue to help us get more clear about our truth. And some people could want to move forward, but again, they could have people in their life that are like, and if it's not other people, it's their own kind of fearful nature. No, no, no. You should keep doing this. You know, keep living your life like this. This is just and fair. But it keeps them stuck. They're not free to live their more authentic life. And when they quit aligning with that energy within themselves, they'll kind of quit aligning with people in their life. And same way when we work through those issues, we kind of didn't align with some of those people in our life that we more could have hung out with. Just like, again, when we were 18 going to 21, and the people in our life who, oh, no, no, I'm going to keep doing all these things that we've been doing for the last 3 years, 18 to age 20. I was like, well, don't you want to move forward and kind of detach from that and go put in work and effort to take on, face your fears to become and learn more things to be more like a 21 to a 25-year-old? Oh, no, I'm not ready yet. Well, you know, if they keep living their life like that, you probably would kind of distance, you know, wish them peace. But I'm not going to keep doing this. That phase of life is kind of over. It was fun to begin with, but then, you know, these phases of life come to an end, and we listen to our intuition to keep kind of giving birth to this new version of ourselves, you know? So, high vibe people did the work to get balance within themselves. They work through their fears and insecurities to not be more influenced by their mind, their fear, their worldly nature, and they got more balance within themselves. And then we have the Two of Swords, which is instead of listening more to their mind and maybe doing what seemed practical and logical, they started, and this whole life experience could have been to start getting them to listen more to their intuition, because I think we were given our intuition to help guide us in this world. Just like all the animals, we're part of the animal kingdom, have their instincts and their unique talent, skills, and interests, and they don't question it. It's just part of their nature to listen to it. But we as human beings, you know, we think we're so smart, and pride comes before the fall, and sometimes we don't listen to our intuition, and we go get ourselves involved in some things that our intuition could have been screaming in our head saying, this, you should not be doing this. This is not good. You should go home. This isn't going to work out. But we think, oh, no, no, I can make this work. Or this will be fun. And we probably didn't listen to our intuition, and it didn't work out the way we wanted. So then we start to listen to our intuition, And then from the 2 to the 6 of Swords, we do that process of healing. We go through the 3 of Swords, the 4 of Swords, the 5 of Swords, that work through our past pain and heartbreak, work through self-limiting beliefs, all those things, and work through our mental conflict as we maintain balance within ourselves, listening to our intuition about the truth, about all these different people we've known in our life and how they choose to be and what they value and motivate and inspires them, and what we've been motivated and inspired by at different times in our life, and kind of what our truth is now and how we would like to move forward. And then from the 6 to the 9 of Swords, we're letting go of the 3 of Swords. The 3 of Swords, again, the 2, the 3, the 4, the 2, the 3, the 4, is Libra energy. We have this way of living life and viewing life and people in our life. Some of them were just and fair. Some of them were loving and encouraging, and maybe just some of those people had to go away or moved away or something, or they're not in our life anymore. And we have to work through the fact that, the grief and sadness of some of those people aren't in our life anymore. And then we also have to work through the grief and sadness of some people that we thought would be more just and fair. And maybe they weren't. And maybe we weren't just and fair. We offer love and compassion, truth and justice. And truth is love. I'm going to offer love to the situation. I'm going to offer myself love and compassion and forgiveness for the mistakes I've made. I'm going to offer love and compassion to the other people in the world, because if I don't, it kind of keeps me imprisoned. And in the 6 of Pentacles, it again can be about getting balance within ourselves. And from the 4 of Pentacles to the 6 of Pentacles, this whole process could have been to help us get more clear about our truth, because we do have our dualistic nature, but we maybe weren't really balanced in our dualistic nature. Sometimes we could have been more hopeful, believing, and loving. Sometimes we indulged our more immature, prideful nature. Sometimes we were in relationships with people who were more just and fair and loving. Sometimes we got in relationships with people who weren't. And the whole thing was, that we can't change other people. And the only person we can change is ourselves. And the only person we can ultimately heal is ourselves. We can offer other people truth and love and try to work together with them in a just and fair way. Just like people could have tried to do that with us at different times. And we were like, oh, no way, man, I'm into this. Whatever that was, right? But eventually we can all get to a point, some people, where I'm no longer juggling. I have been illuminated to the truth of something, and I don't want to live my life like that or be in those type of relationship dynamics anymore. And I've kind of gotten clear about my truth about something that in the 5 of Swords previously could have caused me mental conflict. And again, the 5 of Swords is Aquarius energy. But now we've learned to take action, being a little bit more clear about what our truth is and what our truth isn't. And sometimes before, maybe in the Fool card, it was like, kind of whatever came up. It was like, living your life, and it's like, oh, wow, yeah. And the Fool can talk about going on this journey. And part of it was all those life experiences to help us get more clear about our truth. And when we found ourselves in situations where it's like, oh, wow, something is going on here that, I don't know, I might be up in a little bit in my head about, or I kind of feel a little stuck, or I might feel people are being deceptive or manipulative or something, that am I going to stay in this, or am I going... and it can be quite a process of life, to get to where you're willing to more stand up for what you believe is just and fair. But we first have to kind of get clear of what we think is just and fair. And then it's even just and fair for us to stand up for what we believe in. And some people aren't there yet. And again, it's just this process of takes time and living life. And the fives can talk about change. I'm not the same person I used to be. And I might have had to move away from the Six of Swords, from some people who I think in shadowy Two of Swords, in what they think is just and fair. I kind of think they don't want to see the truth. They have their idea of what they think is just and fair. But I don't, how they want to move forward, their truth, or how they want to live their life, or whatever, is different. And I'm going to work through that, of letting that old dream go. And then I'm going to take action, because this is a masculine figure, and the masculine figures can talk about how we're presenting ourselves in the world and action that we're taking in the world. And also from the Six of Swords down to the Five of Swords and working through this pain and heartbreak, we kind of let go of maybe a way of living life that we used to view as like a truth of how we thought we wanted to live our life, but other people that we kind of thought were kind of on the same page as us, and if it was love, maybe seeing that, what we love and how we view love and what we think is just and fair is different. So we worked through all of that. And that's when we've changed. And we couldn't change other people, but we can change ourselves. And then the Two of Wands in Aries energy, a fire sign energy again. We're just harnessing our fire sign energy maybe differently than we were before. We could have taken a lot of action in our life in the past, and some people still are, more out of fear or insecurity, or they want these things that they think are just and fair, but it might be more the ego or the fear or the codependency, or going on their own journey to kind of learn about these things that kind of manipulate them, just like we went on that journey. And now we kind of have a different dream, no longer interested in repeating that old pattern, and taking some action to look to the future, to invest. The Pentacles can talk about investing your time, energy, and effort into the things and the people and the ways of thinking and feeling and believing. We can choose what emotions we choose to sit in every day and what thoughts we choose to sit in every day. It's not to stay in denial and you ignore certain thoughts and emotions, but I can go to a movie or read a book and I can purge a lot of emotions, but I don't have to sit in certain emotions all day. I can stay focused on the future, looking to what can be versus focusing on what was. Some people are still more focused on what was than looking to the future. Some people work through it, some people haven't yet. And high vibe, Four of Pentacles in Capricorn energy, shadowy Capricorn energy is represented by the Devil. I don't want these things manipulating me. I don't want to be in more shadowy energy within myself. I don't want to be in relationships and invest my time, energy, and effort and my thoughts and emotions into people who have been more shadowy. I want to invest my time, energy, and effort into people who are moving forward, doing equal give and take, who've been enlightened to the truth, who have also changed, gotten out of their more egoic nature or staying in denial of the truth, that it should be motivated and inspired, not more by the world and the devil, but by hope and faith and belief and love. And high vibe Capricorn then also is about being free from things that try to manipulate you and control you and tempt you in your more shadowy nature. And because some of you have done that work within yourself, For some of the people who did take a risk to try to manipulate you or control you or thought they were going to go get justice somewhere else, some of those people could see you moving forward in this way. Some of those people knew the truth of who you were. They knew you were more, I don't know, more motivated and inspired by love, that you were more independent, that you weren't more about being conforming to the world or something, you know? But they were hoping maybe if they got in a relationship with you that you'd stay and make your life more about those things. So it's like trying to trap someone who that isn't the driving factor in your life, but it can be the driving factor in their life. And again, maybe hoping because you love them that you would, it's just like you can have a job and people can like your skills and your traits and your way of getting along with them, but there's no potential for you to like grow to your full potential in a way, but they don't want you to go get a different job where you could kind of grow to your full potential. And just like in a relationship, if I want to be in a more just, fair, balanced, emotionally mature relationship, some other people want to be in a relationship with you, but they don't want to be in that type of relationship. Because then they would have to work through why they kind of don't think that's just and fair and why they think this other way of being in a relationship, where it's maybe a little bit more about them being indulged in some way, is more just and fair. And they'd have to temper. The bottom row can represent our more kind of immature, egoic nature. And they'd have to kind of be willing to even see that truth that I do kind of think I should be a little more indulged, or it should be a little bit more about me, or, well, you're a loving, nurturing person. I thought I could just keep manipulating you, because you're loving. And it's like, not anymore. If you're not willing to treat me in a just and fair way and get out of being more about yourself or thinking it's just and fair to manipulate people, and because you keep moving forward, you might have some people in your life that, you can still, again, be a loving and encouraging person in people's life, but you're standing up for the fact that I don't want to repeat this old pattern. And sometimes how this comes out, even though we don't really have it here, but it's just an analogy. Sometimes we had relationships with people where we kind of did interact with them a certain way. For example, parents with children. Well, the children can grow up and they want to be treated more like an adult, and I don't want you I don't know, thinking you can tell me how to run and live my life. Be a loving and encouraging person. Tell me to listen to my intuition, to make good decisions, that you love me. But don't try to dominate, kind of control me. And the other way around, people can have children or adult children, more adult children's what I'm talking about, where it's kind of like they want you to still like play that role in your life, where they keep kind of being more codependent on you and don't want you to be more independent because they don't want to be more independent. And it's like, you're an adult now, pumpkin. I can be a loving and encouraging person in your life, but you need to work through some of your fears and your insecurities and start being a good mother, father, coach voice to yourself in your own head. My role, I can be that person in your life, but not kind of to the more codependent degree that it was before, because you're not a child anymore. You are supposed to learn to stand on your own feet and kind of learn to maintain balance within yourself, And so just like children can want to become more independent, sometimes parents want to become more independent. And sometimes even in friendships and relationships, just the way a relationship dynamic could have been great for a while. We could have all been at a phase of life where we could have been loving and encouraging people to each other to kind of help get us all up on our feet again. But then one person could be ready for the relationship to move forward a little differently, and the other person still isn't ready for it to be different. And then again, that's sometimes when shadowy people, which we could all have done at different times if you were to think back on it, where, maybe being a little more discouraging, or even where, well, not to say everybody's done this at all, because I don't think some people do, but out of your fear that someone is becoming kind of more independent or more confident or stable and grounded within themselves, other people can kind of do some things to confuse you and make you, even if it is kind of hurtful and unkind, just to kind of make you keep focusing more on them. And then, of course, relationship partners can do that too. And some people, again, you offer love and encouragement to work together with people, but there comes a time this isn't being just and fair and loving. And then in the Nine of Swords, it can talk about closing out a cycle. Seeing kind of the truth that someone is making the free will choice to operate in a little more shadowy way that isn't just and fair and authentic and loving, and maybe speaking their truth and being just and fair. And even though we might not want it to end, I'm not going to keep moving forward like this. And so the 1 plus the 9 is the 10 of Swords, where you close out a cycle and you realize the 4 of Pentacles comes after the 3 of Pentacles, that there could have been people you were working together with in some type of foundation or relationship. And it's like, no, I'm going to this. I see you're kind of operating from a different foundational truth than I am, and I wish you peace, but in the meantime, I've changed. I don't want to repeat that pattern. Apparently, you want to keep repeating it. That's not my truth, and I'm going to take action on my truth. And so if that means with some of the people in my life, I do need to hold back from, and I need to quit investing in them because I gave them every opportunity to maybe speak their truth and be more just and fair. And if they're hiding that they're kind of operating out of ego, well, I guess until they get out of their ego, this is how we'll be moving forward. But the high vibe people have worked through it to wish the people peace, and I'm moving on. The other people might still be in their ego and kind of defensive. Maybe in competitive energy or something. Anyway, okay, what's coming up for people who harness some high vibe Gemini energy? What could be coming up for them that they might not see coming? Moving forward with the people in your life who are working together with you in this way. The Knight of Swords, 3 cards not showing themselves, and the reason is because of the Queen of Swords, which is Aquarius energy. Because you wanted to get to the truth and you were willing to put things in perspective and look at things from a higher perspective, it kind of helped you get to where you were willing to speak your truth about what you think is just and fair. You, in High Vibe, were offering people truth and love to move forward with you, to work together with you in this high vibrational way. I want to bring a dream into reality in truth and love, Gemini energy, and then in justice and fairness. But I can't keep staying in denial of the truth that you seem to be defensive to that. You harness this energy differently. So I wish you peace, but I'm going to stand up for what I believe in. And what some people don't know about you is that you've done this work within yourself as you go through this process of detaching from harnessing these energies in a more shadowy way, which enables you to detach from the people in your life who also harness it still in a more shadowy way. And you're now harnessing it in a more high vibrational way. The 3 of Pentacles, the 6 of Wands, and the Queen of Pentacles. So the pentacle suits can represent, maybe a little more aligned with our worldly nature, and the fire sign energy of Leo energy. You know, we had these friendships, relationships, jobs, ways of living life that at one time we really were emotionally invested in them and we wanted to invest in them and we viewed them as being victorious and successful in a lot of ways. But eventually it seemed to be that other people became defensive to working with you cooperatively, being motivated and inspired to emotionally invest in it, in truth and love. Some people you viewed as loving, nurturing people in your life, whether that was friends or family members. Other people, you could have worked with them, and I'm saying this because the Queen of Pentacles can kind of represent all those things. It could have been people you wanted to marry. It could have been people you were married to. But you're less inspired to stay in a workplace or a friendship or relationship more because of the worldly aspects to it. Like, I'm in a friendship, I'm in a relationship, I have a job. You know, I might want some of those things, but if it's not inspired more by love, I don't want to stay in it. And if it's not a job that I love, and if people are being defensive and or harsh or critical or immature or defensive or manipulative, I do not want to be here. So you did the work to get out of your ego about it. And you emotionally invested in yourself, and I view high vibe Leo as giving yourself the things that you wish other people would have given you. Because also in our shadowy energy, it can just be that we have fear of kind of loving and believing in ourselves, and we're kind of just in more codependent energy, looking to other people to love and believe in us, because we haven't learned to love and believe in ourselves. And this whole process kind of made you have to do that work within yourself so that you could live your more authentic life and stand up for what you believe in and your worth and your value and what you bring to the table. And if other people don't value what you bring to the table enough to be just and fair, then I guess you're not the right person for me. And as you go through this process, you kind of realize that some of the people that you might have wanted to have a dream come into reality, you know, it could have been a phase of life where, you know, some people come into our life, we can help each other. It can, in a lot of ways, seem victorious and successful, but, you know, now we're all ready for a different phase of life. And with some of the people, shadowy energy can be, and the shadowy energy of the hangman can be where you kind of realize some people's truth never was your truth, so your dream never could come into reality with them. If they're kind of more about themselves or more about the ego and the image and looking like a shining star in the world, or it being more about them, your dream can come into reality with them anyway. And with some of those people, you realize that. And some of those people you don't have an interest of working with together again, or being in a relationship with them, or now marrying them, or being married to them. Because you saw the truth of really what ultimately drives and motivates them for some of them, and you know it's not love. And you work through that, and it's like, well, now that I've seen the truth of that, again, we have these people in the world, and because we have these lessons to learn, we initially can get in relationships or long-term relationships with people who are more aligned with us all being kind of a little bit more motivated and inspired by the world. So kind of people we could be in a relationship with where we're both kind of operating more from our worldly inspired egoic nature and codependent nature and all those things. But the truth is we were really maybe more meant, needless, to be in a relationship with someone. If you're more motivated and inspired by love, to be in relationships with other people authentically more motivated and inspired by love. And that's who your dreams can come into reality with. And I think as you move forward in this energy, being a very emotionally nurturing, inspiring, loving person who tries to look at life from a higher perspective, I think there's going to be other people that are going to defend you and want to be in a relationship with you because they see their dreams can come into reality with you because you're not acting in these more shadowy ways of being, and neither are they. What's coming up for some people who harness a more worldly, shadowy Gemini energy who might not want to see the truth that it's supposed to be about love, and love is supposed to be just and fair. But a more shadowy Pisces energy can be people is like, well, I love love. I love getting in relationships. I love being in relationships. But it's kind of more, again, kind of more indulging themselves in it. They don't realize that, it's not just more about them or indulging them. It's about working together in high vibe Capricorn, high vibe Taurus, where you work together. The Six of Wands is made up of Three of Wands. Two people who are motivated and inspired by the same thing to move together in victory and success. Well, if they're not both taking action on a dream in the Two of Wands, motivated and inspired by love, one person's motivated and inspired by love, and someone else is kind of more motivated by something else. So they're kind of motivated and inspired by something else. The illusion of love, immature view of love, or being in a relationship more for the security or the stability or just to be in a relationship. And, that's just kind of maybe a more immature view of life. What's coming up for them they don't see coming? This card, and the reason it came out is because of the Page of Wands. Well, so the Page of Wands is fire sign energy, and it can represent all three of the fire sign energies of Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. So up here we had Aries, and here we had Leo, and I was kind of wondering if Sagittarius was going to come out, because Sagittarius is about being inspired, in high vibe, being inspired to kind of wrap your brain around this game of life, higher learning and education, inspired to free yourself from things that manipulate you so you can keep moving forward in life, kind of growing to your full potential. And the people in their life that in their fire sign energy are more hopeful and believing in love, some of those people in their life are going to probably leave a relationship with them. They're not willing to keep staying in it. Why? These people, the high vibe people in their life, have been doing this work within themselves too, and maybe kind of working through why they harnessed it in a more shadowy way and why they don't harness it in a more high vibe way, and now they are harnessing it in a more high vibe way. The Two of Cups, which is Cancer energy, about self-love and wanting to work together with other people from love. And maybe, again, the pages can represent that we've all been in more codependent energy. We've all been more immature and all that good stuff. And we hadn't learned to love ourselves. And so, again, we can get in these friendships and relationships because we have fear of believing our dreams will come into reality, or there's these things that we want to manifest in the world that we think will make us happy and seems just and fair, and might indulge in a lot of things that we think will make us happy and make us feel better and more balanced within ourselves or something. And I think some of the high vibe people in their life have done some of this work within themselves, like some people do. And if those people have kind of felt like nothing changes, that people in their Knight of Swords are kind of more defensive or want to keep moving forward in the same way, and they're like, oh my god, we're going to keep doing this, is nothing ever, it's like you can get to where a lot of things can indicate that things should change, and there's the opportunity to change, and then the other people are like, nope, let's just keep doing this. And they go back to the beginning, square one again. And the other people are like, oh my gosh, I cannot repeat another pattern of this. If things aren't changing, I need to see the truth. And some of those people could even get to where they just don't view them as being loving. And then some of the people in their life who kind of are more maybe on the same page as them again, because if we keep repeating a pattern over, we're going to go find other people who are repeating that same pattern. And they might get in a relationship with someone who might hide that they're not really motivated and inspired by love or being just or fair either, or growing up and maturing themselves. And I have a lot of fears and insecurities that I might not want to work through. I might look to indulge in these things or make my life about these certain things because I think that is more just and fair, and I might not want to do love it either. And then, when people can end up in a relationship, because I think even shadowy people, it's more to try to trap a loving person in a relationship with them than they don't have someone acting like they are. If they're bossy and controlling, they don't want to be in a relationship with another bossy, controlling person. If they're kind of immature and reckless, they don't maybe want to be in a relationship with another immature, reckless person. If they're more egotistical and self-centered, they don't want to be in a relationship with someone like that. But that's unjust and unfair. And that's why the more high vibrational people in their life move on. And then they get in a relationship with someone who is more like themselves, that is just and fair, but they might not like it. Well, you're not being authentic. Well, you don't love me. You're not in the relationship because you love me. It's like, yeah, but you don't get in relationships with people really because you love them. You kind of want to indulge in a relationship. I'm getting in a relationship with you, and I'm indulging myself in a relationship with you. But I don't like that. I only like it when I do that. So it is like people who want the best of both worlds, but they still don't want to see the truth that if you want to be in relationships with people who are being just and fair and authentic and loving, you should be a just and fair and authentic and loving person. They're like, well, no, I want that, but I want to be like this. It's like, well, it's probably not going to work out the way you want. That dream is probably not going to come into reality for you because you chose in your free will to indulge your more shadowy nature. And the other people left, and the people who you're going to be left behind with are people who are more like you in some way. And I guess if it's kind of like, was that how I acted? Yes, that is how you acted. Huh. Many times I think it'd be funny because I have known some people where I think some things switched around on them where it's like, they could have viewed life a certain way and they had people in relationship with them, and you can almost imagine some of the things that came out of the mouth of some of the people they were in relationship when they were kind of acting in some of these more immature whatever ways. And then that relationship didn't work out, and then they get themselves in a relationship where they're kind of, we can all be a little more mature or grounded or stable or balanced than some other people we get in a relationship with, right? And sometimes they kind of get in a relationship and they could think they like to be in a relationship because this is a knight and this is a page, that they kind of like to be in a relationship with people who are more fearful or afraid or more codependent or more immature, because then they can kind of control and manipulate them. And I often wonder if some of the things that used to come out of people's mouth towards them at one time, they're now saying to the people that they're in relationship with. And it's like, is that like a ding, 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 ding? Oh my gosh, I cannot believe I am saying these things now to the person I'm in a relationship with when I used to be in a relationship with people who said that to me. And that, but some people is like, no, I refuse to see the truth. And some people, again, like to be in relationships with people who are more fearful and afraid or heartbroken, more codependent. It's like, you're my kind of guy, you're my kind of gal. Let's move forward. I think this is just and fair. And we all could have gotten in relationships to some degree of being in that energy. It's just kind of, I think, a little bit of the human experience we go through. But they didn't like it when they were in relationships with people who kind of worked through some issues to grow up and mature themselves, because then those people wanted them to kind of grow up and mature themselves. And they're like, you can go. I'll go find someone else to get in a relationship with, and I'll repeat this pattern with someone else. And that's what some of them are doing. And the same pattern can happen where the people will leave. Some of them could have some people leaving right now because they see the truth. This person isn't willing to grow up and mature themselves. And other people just are going through that phase of life of, why don't I love and believe in myself? Why am I living my life a certain way and kind of in these certain type of relationships? And if those people do that work, they're going to move forward in their life a little differently. So there you go, Gemini. High vibe people are going to get justice in their life because they're taking action in truth and love, treating other people, doing equal give and take. Not when they see people are being shadowy, they wish them peace and they move on, investing their time, energy, and effort into people who are more just and fair and emotionally mature. And other people could be afraid of doing that, and they're still hoping other people might change, and it might take, we can all be patient with people, and everybody's point of, I've had enough, is different, right? And we've all got to be ready at that place and feel kind of more balanced within ourselves. And when we're ready, we're ready. And some people aren't ready yet. In the meantime, you wish people peace and you keep moving on and living your truth and let everybody else live their truth. So there you go, Gemini. I wish you peace, love, and joy, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.